Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Welcome to our 287th installment in the Torah portion of the week. We are holding by Parshat Korach, all about the rebellion of Korach and the 250 great men against Moshe and Aaron. And, that whole story, we have the protest confirmation. Moshe intervenes again. We have Aaron's duty that is reiterated. We have the ties to the Levites. A lot of interesting things here. The Torah says, chapter 16, verse 15. And the Torah says, it's distressed Moshe greatly, and he said to Hashem, do not turn to their gift offering. I've not taken even a single donkey of theirs, nor have I wronged even one of them. All right, the Moshe Rabbeinu says, they're complaining. They're complaining against me and against Aaron. I haven't taken anything. that didn't belong to me. Yeah, why does Moshe Rabbeinu have to say this? What is the point over here? Comes along, Mori Rebbe, Arav Gaon, Moshe Shlita should be well. And he brings down his commentary in Chumash in Tam V'das. And he says like this. Rashi says, even when I traveled from Midian to Egypt, so when I was a Midian, I came to Egypt, and I took myself, my wife, and my children. I took them on a donkey, let's say. I could have used theirs. Right? He could have used theirs, but he didn't. I only took from mine. In other words, I didn't use anyone else's. I'm considered the king. I could have, but he didn't. Okay. It says, Moiv Rebbe, over here, what's going on? Why does Moshe Rabbeinu over here have to say this? Why does he say it? That I only took mine. I could have taken from yours, but I didn't. Yeah. In other words, if it were taken from them, why didn't he? Could have. He had every right. Right? He's got the status of the king. Why not? So maybe it says, tremendous thing for Manig, for someone who leads the Jewish people, right? A leader of the Jewish people has to guard himself against any little one iota of something of getting benefits. Got to be very, very careful. We're going to say, come on, if he's a leader, aren't there perks? Why aren't there perks? Why can't he get benefits from certain things? Because he doesn't want anyone to be able to say anything against. Right? So Moshe Rabbeinu was very clear, and he was careful. Even he could have taken something that was fitting for him to take, but he doesn't. Why? He doesn't want to have any questions. In other words, he wants his hands to be squeaky clean. That's what he wants. And there shouldn't be a desecration of God's name. And you see by the Mishkan, right? We see by the tabernacle what happened. There's a counting of all the loops, the class, and all that. Why is there a tremendous accounting? So no one would accuse of Moshe Rabbeinu of stealing. You're going to say if all the people is going to steal, it's going to be Moshe Rabbeinu? Very hard to imagine. Right? Very, very hard to imagine. Same time, what do I have? You see, Jewish leaders have to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. They don't want anyone to misjudge them. They don't want anyone to have a claim they stuck their hand in the cookie jar when they shouldn't have. You're going to tell me if he's the king or someone's in charge, don't they have rights? Don't they have privileges? Aren't there certain things they'd be allowed to do other people wouldn't? Sure. Right? Comes with the territory. Okay. But even if it comes with the territory, you want to be squeaky clean. Why do you want to be squeaky clean? So no one has a claim. And nobody should have a claim. One way or the other. Should be zero claim. All the more so if they do something wrong. Got to get magnified. Can't trust them. I can trust any leader. They're always taking things that I have permission to. They're held to a higher standard. If anybody out there, anyone out there who gives classes, or is a rabbi, or any Jewish leader, especially if you're Orthodox, you don't want anyone coming back with any claims. You want to do things on the up and up. You want to show that you're squeaky clean. People should have respect, right? Definitely should have respect. Doesn't mean people are perfect. Doesn't mean they don't fail in certain ways. But a person in position of, who's a leader, they have to be that much, that much more careful. Even if something that, technically would be okay for most people, maybe even in this case for the person also, right? Let's say for this rabbi, for this leader. But you know what? It might not be fitting for them. You don't want to have any questions. You don't want anyone second guessing. Because what happens when a person has a doubt? First, let's say a rabbi's done something wrong. Minor, very, very minor. If that, someone could say, why should I listen to you? I got doubts now. How can I trust what you say? Doesn't mean say anything wrong. Doesn't mean say anything against halacha, anything against Jewish law. But all somebody needs if they're looking is to find one little thing. Again, it doesn't mean they're perfect. But let's say they don't say anything heretical. There's something, whatever they said, they did, they didn't like. Okay. Aren't people human? I think people are human. Can people make mistakes, even rabbis? 100%. But they're held to a different standard. They're held to a different standard. In other words, 20 years, 25 years, you could be loved by certain people, this, that. One thing you didn't do, they thought you should have, this, that, erases everything. Erases everything. I'm saying it's right. Depends what the person did. But if the person feels they've been let down, then all the help you've given them in the past doesn't matter. Because they felt you didn't hear them out. You didn't listen when you should have. You didn't give them what they needed at that time, that they desperately needed it. But why does that happen? Why does that happen? Because sometimes people get in dire straits. They're expecting, I don't know, miracles. Expecting someone to come through. They come through before. This time, they don't exactly like what they said, or it's hard to implement what they said. It's very interesting. A rabbi, let's say, someone comes to them for advice. And they give advice. Sometimes it's hard to hear the advice. Had this number of times where Rabbi told me things, and I listened, and it was hard. There were certain things that were hard. Had to go against the grain. Had to stand up for things I wasn't afraid to stand up for, but the repercussions were hard. Were very, very hard. I didn't have any doubt what he said was true. Not only that, I wasn't really asking, okay, find me a way to get out of this. Like, certain things you can't get out of. Certain things you can't do. So what happened? You get hit upside the head. But I did what I was told to do. And the fallout was what it was. That doesn't mean he was wrong. And his approach was wrong. Doesn't mean that. It means the other people couldn't stand what happened. Because you had to take a stand. That's not your fault. I don't even have to feel bad about it. I did what Das Torah, my rabbi, told me to do. Does that mean I came out smelling like a rose? No. The majority of the time? No. But I did what I had to do. I was given a certain hand. Whatever it is. And, there were things that can I do it? I can't do it. What circumstances? This, that. He guided me. 100%. Yeah, but at the end of the day, there was payback. Okay. Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is someone in a position of leadership, at all times you got to be squeaky clean. Even if people understand, yeah, you can make mistakes. Maybe you said things you shouldn't have said 100%, or maybe they don't like what you said. It's not your fault. Not your fault. It doesn't make you a heretic. Someone doesn't like what you said. Okay, they don't like this explanation. There's been 100 other explanations. Okay, that explanation they didn't like. But what does it do? You've given great explanations before. This one is subpar. So what does someone say? I doubt who you are. I don't like what you said. Okay. What about everything else? What about everything else? 98% of the time, the person was happy with what they said. One time they didn't like it. What? You throw them out? You throw them out? All right, gotta go find someone else. All right, go find someone else. There was the same person for 25 years. If you don't want to. Or 5 years if you don't want to. Or 3 months if you don't want to. What's the point? Point is Moshe Rabbeinu wants to be squeaky clean. Moshe Rabbeinu does not want to have any doubts. He doesn't want to have anyone doubting him. He doesn't want anyone to question. Maybe he put his hand in the cookie jar. Maybe he took something he wasn't supposed to, but wasn't he allowed? Doesn't the king have privileges no one else has? True. And this king, Moshe Rabbeinu, who did he get his kingship from? From God himself. He was entitled. Totally entitled over here. Comes on Moshe Rebbe and said, that's true, but he didn't want anyone to have any claims at all. No claims at all. So I would say for Orthodox Jews in general, you go out in public, wherever you go shopping, go to the post office, you go here, you go there. You want to be squeaky clean. Don't give anyone, secular Jew, non-Jew, whoever, do not give anyone ammunition, say anything against Torah mitzvah. You're going to say, well, it's hard to be perfect. Okay, I didn't say it was easy. Did not say it was easy. Yeah, but when we're ambassadors to the king, we got to be as clean as possible. We have to be as clean as possible. And sometimes a person talks in a strong way. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, for some people, it's hard to hear. Okay, doesn't mean what they're saying is not true. Definitely could be true, but it's hard. 100%. So if we're ambassadors to the king, or we have positions of leadership, we don't want anyone saying anything against us, against Torah, against mitzvahs. Because that could definitely lead to a desecration of God's name. Now, if someone takes what you said out of context, someone, misrepresented what you said, that's something else. You might have to clarify your position because they're distorting it. Okay, that happens. So when you give over information, you want to make sure the information is clear as possible. Clear as possible, nobody has any doubts. And if someone does, that's their fault, not yours. Because if you make things clear as possible, it's not your fault. Because then you can say, in with other soap, there's no end. You say what the Torah says, no, but I'm not sure, and it's this, and you could have meant this, you could have meant that. No, this is what the Torah says, black and white. Black and white. It has to be understood. 100%. Person has to understand what they're saying and what's going on. But a person could misinterpret, and it happens a lot. They misinterpret what a person says, or they don't understand what the person said, or they don't understand what the Torah said and what the commentary said. Get that all the time. But how can this happen? This happen? They don't understand, okay? Right? People that's why they ask the question. And that's why you need a mentor. That's why you need someone to guide you. Because a lot of this stuff is very hard. It's very hard to understand at face value. These Parshat Shlach, right, that everyone outside of Israel is reading, the Parshat Korach, where, we're still here in Israel a week ahead. These Parshas are very hard to understand. The sin of the spies spoken about that. greatest generation in the history of man, saw God face to face at Mount Sinai, came out of Egypt. How in the world can they think God's not going to help them? Even these people were giants. Korach comes out against Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen. God said he's the most trusted person in the world. Moshe Rabbeinu, what do you think he's lying? He's taking things for himself. Korach makes fun of him and he's jealous. These are very hard things to understand at face value. Right? But here's a mind-boggling idea. Moshe Rabbeinu has to be squeaky clean. No doubts. Right? Could he have taken, a donkey of someone else, some of the people? Sure. Could take whatever he wanted. He's the king. But he didn't want to. Why didn't he want to? Because he didn't want to have anyone have any claims, any doubts. He's out for himself. He's taking from the say. He's taking for himself. God said in front of 3 million people, give or take, he's my most trusted servant. Everybody heard that. Everybody knows that. You're still going to say he's taking for himself? He's skimming off the top? Mind-boggling idea. The Imar Rebbe says, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to be squeaky clean. He didn't want anyone to have claims. So I'm just taking it further. Jewish leaders, rabbis, you got to be squeaky clean. And everything you do. What's someone going to ask? Someone's going to say, well, that's very good. It's only one problem. Right? What's the problem? We're human. We could say things we shouldn't say. We could do things we don't do. Right? That means we're human. Doesn't mean we're perfect by any stretch. But at the same time, if a person has a track record and they do something out of the ordinary, the track record still stands unless what they did was heretical. They still have a good track record, and the person accepted what they said 99% of the time. This time, all they had issues is that maybe he's not, maybe he's a fraud. Maybe they don't know what he's talking about, maybe. If they got answers, and other people got answers, and they know what they're doing, so you can't say that. That's impossible to say. They didn't like what they said. Okay. Person doesn't have to like everything they hear. Sometimes it's hard to hear what, great people say. What rabbis say and rabbinic authorities say. Maybe it's hard. True. Could be. Heard a lot of hard things in my life, but you know what? Made me who I am. Didn't back down. Didn't flinch. This is what you have to do, even if it's hard. But anyone in a position of power, right? Whether someone's rabbi of a congregation, someone gets classes online, someone teaches in the yeshiva, in a girls' school, this, that, your reputation's everything. It's everything. So you got to be really, really careful. Really, really careful. If you get someone who has doubts and spreads rumors and different things which aren't true, can ruin someone. Could ruin, years and years and years of hard work. Can a person falter? Yeah. Can they falter really badly? Sure. It's very strong evil inclination out there. The greater the person, the greater the evil inclination. So here my Rebbe says, take it from Moshe Rabbeinu, the most humble of all people, the greatest person ever, in the history of man. Almost came to the 49th level of understanding in this world. Almost like a pure angel in this world. We don't have any idea who Moshe Rabbeinu was. And if Moshe Rabbeinu had to take an accounting just to make sure no one had claims against him, all the more so we're going to have to be very, very careful. Whoever's a leader, rabbi, whoever's out there, they also have to be very, very careful and take a self-accounting all the time. All the time. Because you want to make sure whatever information you give, whatever you do, no one will ever, ever, ever have anything to say in a negative way. I remind everyone I have a class every Tuesday, Duties of the Heart, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, we're in the gate of self-accounting. I have 2 Q&As, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel Time. I have Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, every Saturday, 2:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Israel Time, Sunday. Book of Leviticus chapter 16, hopefully finishing chapter 16, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Israel time. And we started for Noahide Nations, 2:30 Eastern time on Sunday, 9:30 Israel time. On Duties of the Heart, we starting at the beginning. We're still by the introduction. Probably be there for a little bit. Conversion class. I also have a conversion class. Anyone interested in any of this, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism on YouTube. There I have Q&As. I have Pirkei Avos, Ethics for Our Fathers, Torah portion of the week, Book of Leviticus chapter 16. We also have controversial issues. Anyone interested in any of this, find me on Facebook. Send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com. RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com.